Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. I'm telling you, man, as we see the fueling change, right? We see it just continue to go up. That independent contractor, and we speak about this all the time. The independent contractor, they bought, Dave, at a price that we had never seen on that used truck market last year, like 70%, 80% higher than the year before.
Yeah, just think about it, Rick. If you want to drill it right down, let's just go with LA. $6.50 a gallon. Right now, LA, what do you think those guys are getting in LA traffic running that Trey? $6.50 a mile? They're running $1 a gallon in fuel every day. They're running $1 a mile right now in fuel alone out there in LA, running around trying to get that in that traffic. It's just unbelievable what they're paying.
Yeah, it is, and the rates have gone down.
Absolutely.
It's just and it's not a bad market though. I'm going to say that again. We're seeing all-time rate highs, right? Everything's a high. Those that are in trouble right now at this moment are those that went into business in the last 12 months. They bought on a very high side. Those that have been in business maybe didn't upgrade their equipment on the used side, especially last year. You're going to be okay right now. You're still making more money on that spot market than traditionally you have, right? And so you're going to be okay. Take care of the other things, though. It's going to change, so get ready. You know, the bigger companies are going to continue to take all the freight because they control the market. I want to make sure you understand that. They control the market, and it looks like they're going to control it the rest of the year. When you own a market like they do right now, Dave, because you're accepting everything, rejecting very little, you control the pricing. And that's not going to change unless the freight just spikes all the way up. And I'm talking back in that 15,000. We as carriers, as brokers, we control the market easily for the next 3 to 4 or 5 months, maybe the remainder of the year.
And by the way, I'm just going to mention that in the Fed released yesterday, and everybody released yesterday that they see no relief in sight all summer long on the price of fuel.
All right, enough about us, dude. Don't we? I thought we had a guest on.
We do.
All right, let's. Trey, are you there?
I am here. What's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good to hear you guys talking about it. You know, we were just at Freight Waves recently. I drove the RV. We're an RV family, so I drove the RV down there. So I felt the pain at the pump of filling that bad boy up. It was, regular fuel is about $4 a gallon. And, when you got a 60-gallon tank in there, it adds up pretty quickly. So
yeah, you imagine if you had a 300-gallon tank in there and you had to fill that up, right?
No, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. So Trey, so drive safe, Dave. So Trey has an RV. He mentioned he's an RV family. I'm a Marriott family. My family, you know what? And if I can get more than one room, I'm going to do that too. That's just too close for me and my family to be together. But hey, kudos to you for taking that RV down and bringing the family with you. That's kind of cool. Trey, talk to me for a second. Here we go. I've known you for a while now. Trey, you opened up a new podcast. You opened up your own business, and I want you to, number one, tell us a little bit about yourself, and talk to me about the huevos. And huevos in English means courage. When you started this business, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to be an entrepreneur for a long time. I've kind of had it in my blood, but just didn't have the courage. And so for some of those people out there that have an idea, have a dream, and have a vision, it's hard. It's hard to kind of take that leap, especially like for me, I'm the sole breadwinner for my family. And so just taking a risk and having my family really take that risk with me is challenging. And it took a lot of courage to do it. My wife is incredibly supportive. I guarantee you that Beta Consulting Group would not exist if it wasn't for my wife's support to make that happen. And at the end of the day, a couple of things kind of occurred. First of all, I'm a teacher coach by nature. I want to help people become better, whatever it is. I was a high school physics teacher. I coached a lot of sports. And when you're in those roles, you want to see students excel. You want to provide them with the tools and the knowledge and the experiences that will really help them excel. And so that's who I am at my core. And then secondly, I finally came to the realization that I'm not a good employee. And what I mean by that is I want to steer the ship. And when it's not your ship to steer, it's challenging, it's difficult. And so I just came to the conclusion that I needed to build my own ship so that I can steer it. And so I'm very excited to be able to do that. And what I'm really passionate about, what I've come to become incredibly passionate about is brand. and helping people understand the value of their brand. Obviously, as you guys on your show, I mean, you come on, you say BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. That is your brand. That's what you want to be known for. And I tell people all the time that, your brand is what people think about when they see your name or they hear your logo, and it's your job to manage that narrative, and not let the market do it for you. And the power of a brand and the value of a brand is immense. I often say this, I put a post out recently. If you take just a polo, cost $25 for a nice polo. You put a Nike logo on that or some, logo like that. Now it's worth $65, the exact same shirt. If you put the Augusta National, the Masters logo on it from the Masters golf tournament, now that shirt sells easily for $175. And it's all brand. And so I'm passionate about helping companies understand the value of their brand and the benefits that they can get from a sales perspective, from a client acquisition perspective, from an employee retention and acquisition perspective by building their brand. So we're passionate about that. Our mission statement is to glorify God and make much of Him while helping clients build their brand. And that's what we're in business to do, is to help companies really maximize their brand through marketing, messaging, content creation, podcasting, whatever mediums that they want to use in order to get that message out.
Man, love so much of that I love, and I'm going to talk about the polo for a second, because this shirt right here that I have on, probably a $5-6 shirt. Once Sir Rick puts on it, it's priceless. Let me tell you something. It takes it to another level, kind of like Drive Safe Dave. And what do you think about his stop sign or his? Look at the shirt. This guy's walking around into a restaurant today with this on his shirt.
Definitely get some attention. I love it.
Hey, drawing attention to the signs. Drawing attention to the signs. Be aware. Be safe. You know what I'm saying? Be safe every time. But great stuff. Good ideas, especially about the polo. I love that. And you got your polo wearing there, so that must be what, a $325 shirt that you got on.
We haven't put it on the market yet, but we're going to. You just watch out. There's going to be a beta consultant store, and you can pick up a shirt with my face on it anytime you want.
Oh man, I love that. Hey, who is your audience? And you kind of said that it's kind of everybody. What about in that transportation market? Are you finding that? Because I'll tell you, we see it all over the place. We're not very good at branding. We're not very good at marketing. Is that kind of your big play first? Is that transportation market?
Yeah, I mean, that's my network. So, of course, that's where we're starting off. And as you just mentioned in transportation, it seems like marketing always takes a backseat to everything else. It's like the last thing that a company even thinks about doing, or, they'll bring on a sales leader and say, oh, you're in charge of marketing as well. And, thinking about sales and thinking about marketing are slightly different. It's like two different languages. Even though sales and marketing, in my opinion, is one team, it's really two distinct paths to build brand awareness and to drive sales. Marketing is a one-to-many approach. Sales is a one-to-one approach, and the languages are just a little bit different. And so, it's just one of those things where a lot of companies in transportation have not valued that. And I want to help bring awareness to that because, with LinkedIn and with Instagram and TikTok, drivers are out there looking at their phones all day. When they're at the stop, they're looking at TikTok and Instagram. They're enjoying videos on that. People are living on LinkedIn now. A lot of people are working from home, so everybody's living virtually now. So there's never been a better time and a more economical time to build your brand. And so I'm really excited to work with those companies that have reached sustainability. They're making money, they're profitable, but have just not taken that next step to really build that brand out. And I'm excited to help them, build that from scratch. I love to build things. Not a big fan of fixing things. Love to build them. So my target client is a customer that sees the value of that, wants to invest in that, but doesn't really have anything in place yet, to speak of.
Got it. Like that side. Trey, I do want to kind of dive into this side. You're a podcast. You have a great audience. Your network is pretty phenomenal. Did all of that, being that speaker, standing on that stage, doing that podcast, did that just come natural to you?
Looking back, yes. When I think back to like my high school career, for example, I was in a chamber choir, and we always had to introduce the song. And for some reason, I got picked to do that, and I always loved it. I loved grabbing the microphone and doing that. I used to think that this was a character flaw of mine, that I wanted to be on stage, that I wanted to have the microphone, that I wanted to speak. But then I started to realize that, no, that's just how God has gifted me, and not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody likes that type of work. And so I started to embrace that and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm going to go ahead and run with it. And I think for everybody out there to figure out kind of what their talents are and to appreciate the fact that they're unique. That not everybody thinks the way that you think or has the abilities that you have, and to try to maximize that. So I do think it's come naturally. I gravitated towards that in college. I broadcasted football and radio and basketball games on the radio station. I was a sports editor for the newspaper. And so I enjoyed communicating. I enjoyed writing, speaking, being up in front. And so podcasting is definitely a natural part of that. And as a teacher, one of my goals in podcasting is to have really great guests on my program who can provide expertise for my audience, because I want my audience to walk away feeling entertained, inspired, and educated after every episode. And so, yeah, I think it's somewhat natural, but it's also something that I've been grooming for a long time. And it's something, one of my favorite parts of my day is getting a chance to podcast, to interview a guest. I kind of think of myself as the Jimmy Fallon of transportation. You know, some people might come to watch me, but most people are going to come to watch that guest that I have on. And so I'm always excited about having great guests on my shows.
All right, Jimmy Fallon. I like that part too. Marketing, right?
He's my favorite because he's always dancing and singing, and like that would be me. I would dance and sing and do all that if I could. So maybe
hey, that's why we got you on here. We got Jimmy Fallon. I actually set out and told everybody Jimmy Fallon was going to be here, and there you are.
Hey, Trey, I saw you dance. You had a LinkedIn post dancing with your daughter. I saw that little shake you gave towards the end. You had it going on. You were right on cue. So love that part. Trey, you opened up this talking about glorifying God and with this podcast, right? Talk to me a little bit about that, because that's kind of brave, I think, still in this thing is how do you take that relationship with God, in what you're doing in the podcast, in transportation? Let me tell you something. It is hard. I mean, we bring God in here a lot, but usually followed by another word with it in trucking and transportation, in logistics. How are you doing this in your podcast?
Well, I mean, it's risky, I think, from the standpoint of the cultural kind of wars that are out there. But at the same time, I don't think it's risky in the sense that if you have a passion for God, as I do, and believe that, He can handle any situation, then it's just a matter of trust and having faith, having courage. And I'll tell you what happened for me is I went to a men's conference in Columbia, Missouri about 2 months ago. And I got to hear Dan Mears speak. He's the mascot for the Kansas City Chiefs, KC Wolf. He's been there 32 years. He's an incredible guy. He does a lot of mission work, just a really great speaker. And then I also got to hear Tim Tebow at that conference. And even though their messages were unique and they were very powerful, I felt like through that time that God was speaking to me through His Holy Spirit that this company that I have is really from Him, that needs to be about Him. And to not be afraid of that. And so come what may, I came home and I rewrote my mission statement immediately. And that was, my mission statement originally was just about helping clients improve their, outcomes and things like that, which is important. But I just changed it immediately to say, hey, we're here to glorify God and make much of Him while we're doing this. And so changed my mission statement, trying to incorporate faith as much as I can into my business, incorporate prayer and things that matter to me. And again, yeah, it might be a little risky. Some people might feel that way, but I'm confident that God's going to bless that. And I'm just going to be faithful to the best of my ability every day, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where the chips fall.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with you. You probably can't find a better business partner than having God on your side. But talk to me about it, because there's probably a lot of people out there that want to do something on their own, that have given it the thought. But Trey, I mean, how did you sell that to your wife? I mean, you mentioned earlier you're the sole breadwinner. She couldn't have been was she as excited as you were about this new career?
I don't know if I use the word excited. I think it got to a point of inevitability is probably the best way to say it. So I've been talking about doing my own thing for a long time, but I'm not the kind of person that I'm just going to kind of bull rush my way through it on my own. Some entrepreneurs that way, and and God bless them, it's just not who I am. So I really want to make sure that my wife was on board with all of that. So we've been kind of having these conversations periodically throughout the years. I'm a dreamer. I'm somebody who has visions and ideas and things I want to do. And I've had experiences in the past where where I didn't act on something. And those are the ones I regret. And so Rick, as you know this, when you take a chance, even if it fails, you feel better about that than not taking the chance at all. And I've had those times in my life where I didn't take the chance. And so it was just a combination of us having conversations and her also seeing me work really, really hard for other companies to kind of build their dream. And she was like, I think you need to build your dream. If you're going to work this hard, you should build your dream. And so she was very instrumental with kind of making that push and accepting the risk that goes along with it. And there's other entrepreneurs out there, like my friend Shannon Breen at Freightvana. He'd say the same thing. Without his wife's support, there's no way Freightvana even exists today. And they're making huge waves. And so, our spouses are incredibly important to these ventures. And so it's just critical to have those conversations and make sure that you guys are on the same page. Because it can either be something that drives your family to a different life, or it could tear your family apart. And so it's just really critical to have your spouse's support in that.
What were some, and I'm just going to jump in a minute, what a great story. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced as you began this journey? I'm just curious, and how did you overcome them?
I really think the biggest challenges were in my mind, and the fears that exist and the unknown. They often kind of say that sometimes it's better, the devil that you know is better than the one you don't. Kind of an idea. And when you think about starting a new venture and not knowing the results, fear tends to kind of mess with your mind and makes you think about things that maybe don't even exist or aren't real. And so it's kind of, looking back on it, it's kind of like when I played college basketball, right before tip-off, you get this kind of like nervous energy because you don't know how it's going to turn out. But the moment that the ball is up in the air and you get that ball in your hands, you start dribbling it and you're playing the game, you tend to forget about those fears and concerns that you had. And so for me, it was just a matter of starting. And Dave, the thing that in my life I've struggled with is confidence and courage. That's been a real issue for me to overcome. And one of the things that I do now is any day that I wake up feeling overwhelmed, which it happens, right? You wake up some days and man, you're just overwhelmed. There's just so much going on and I just don't know if you can handle it. I literally go to the bathroom, I look in the mirror, I look at myself eye to eye in the mirror and I say, no, you can do this, you got this. And then I leave. And I don't think about it again. I just get to work, because it's much easier to act your way into feeling something than to feel your way into acting. And so if you're feeling, afraid or discouraged or unsure, the best thing you can do is just take the next step. And as you start taking those steps, those fears tend to go away, and you realize, you know what, that wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it was. It's like jumping off of a cliff into water. It's a lot scary right before you jump, but as soon as you hit the water, you realize, oh, that wasn't that bad. Maybe I can do that again.
I've never been one to jump off a real cliff, I'll tell you that. I value my life. I'm just not a big daredevil with anything. Driving fast, jumping off things.
I've been pushed. I've been pushed off the cliff, I think.
Hey, Trey, I also want to talk, because you're bringing some of this up, and for the listeners out there, I'm going to tell you another value you're going to bring to them is that you've done this. You're going to go through challenges that you've never gone through before financially, right? You're going to, wondering how you're going to do the insurance, and you're going to have a story to tell that others need to relate to. Trey, are you sharing your story? I know you're sharing it with us right now. I want to make sure you know how valuable that is, that you surround yourself, that you tell other podcasters, other content creators, other people in marketing that are starting their business, talk to them about your challenges. And I'm just opening that up to you, because there is a lot of value as a person that just starts their own business, right? Not the second and third generation. They're never going to go through the challenges and trials and tribulations that you're going through right now. Are you open to talk to people about that? I mean, is that something you do today?
Oh, 100%. And I try not to tell my story too much, just because I think sometimes people might get tired of just hearing from me. Like I want to maximize the stories of my guests from the podcast and things like that. But absolutely, I believe that the stories that God gives us are meant to be told, are meant to be shared. And there's something that people can learn, some courage they can take, some encouragement that they can have, some inspiration that they can receive from these stories that you share. I mean, there's many stories in my life where we made a decision as a family to either stop something or to start something, and we didn't know how it was going to turn out, and we saw God provide. And every time that you see God provide in a way that's really indescribable, it gives you courage for the next time. But most importantly, it's a story to tell. It's a story to share with other people who are going to face similar situations where they're going to have to make a decision. They don't know the outcome. It's scary. It's risky. They're unsure. But if they hear that story, they might have the courage and the confidence, just a little bit extra, to go ahead and make that decision and benefit from that, from living a life by faith. And so, absolutely, I think stories are meant to share. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to share the story today. I probably need to share it a little bit more often, or find a medium to do that, maybe put it on video or something like that where more people can see it. But I think we all have great stories. We all have unique experiences, and we can share those stories and inspire other people, encourage and educate other people to pursue excellence and pursue greatness in their life, whatever that looks like.
Hey, Trey, we got about a minute left to go here. And as we close out, first of all, I just want you to know that, you've been a blessing to me. I can't, for some reason, God put you in touch with me as well. A couple of years ago, we've done some business together, and now, we're kind of that podcaster group right there. There's something special there that I want to make sure that we continue to work intentional on. I want to thank you for joining the show. I want you to leave us. Hey, leave us with something. I don't need something profound, but something about your business. And then we want you to end this show just with your name, who you work for, your business, I guess, right? And then say, you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Trey, it's all yours, buddy.
I'm hoping I knocked that out. But, one thing I'm really big on is leadership. And, for anybody out there who is leading their company or CEO or founder or whatever, just a reminder that leadership is really about serving your team. They're not there to serve you. You're there to serve them. And if you think about an organization chart that's usually like a triangle, just think of it, flip it upside down, because that leader is there to support everybody on their team, make sure they have all the resources that they need to thrive and to survive right where they are within your organization. So I'm huge on that. Again, my name is Trey Griggs. I'm with Beta Consulting Group, and you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Bam, you got it. Hey, Trey, God bless you. Love you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.